I'd like to welcome you to Munholland on this Good Friday as we solemnly reflect on what our Lord so willingly did in going to the cross for us some 2,000 years ago. I would like to make a note of special thanks to our guest orchestra for a wonderful choir and all the preparations for Phil and for Jan, who's going to be leading us tonight in this wonderful music. I want to invite all of you to our Easter celebration. We'll have services here at 8:30, 9:30, and 11 o'clock. All great services, and hope that you will be able to attend one of those. As we prepare for this special service, just a reminder, it is Good Friday service, and so please, no clapping between movements. Just let it wash over you and the mood take you into a deep appreciation of Christ's willingness to come and to pay the price for you and for me. The choir at the end of our time together, when the service is over, will simply end, and they will sit down, and they will remain seated until everyone departs in silence. So don't wait for them to get out the mood. At that point, you will be free to either remain in reflective prayer or to return on home. Thank you so much for coming and being a part of this service tonight.
I now invite you to join me in the call to worship, which is printed in your bulletin. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way. And the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. Now I invite you to stand as we sing together, O Sacred Head Thou Leaded, which is in the red hymnal in front of you on page 286.
Thank you.
seated. Good Friday. This day of enormous injustice, pain, and excruciating death should be called disastrous, horrible, grievous, anything but good. But consider how this terrible day did become good for several people there. Consider Simon of Cyrene. He had traveled from Africa near Tripoli to come to the Passover. Maybe this was a once-in-a-lifetime pilgrimage to Jerusalem, there to partake in the Passover, as the Bible had commanded him to do. Pushing through the great crowds who were preparing for the Passover meal, he saw a man who was being led by Roman soldiers. The man was bloodied and having terribly being whipped. He was wearing a crown of thorns which made blood run down around his head and into his eyes. Simon waited a moment for the gruesome procession to go by. But all of a sudden the man stumbled and he fell and the cross fell down. He couldn't take up the cross again, so the Roman soldiers grabbed him and said, "You there, take up the cross. Follow us." With a mixture of pity, compassion, frustration, and humiliation of carrying this bloody cross before the Roman soldiers, he walked forward. Interestingly, it says in Mark 15:21 that Simon was the father of Alexander and Rufus, as if everybody in the church, in the early church, would know who they are. These sons of Simon who carried the cross. And later in Romans chapter 16, Paul says, "Great Rufus, chosen in the Lord, and his mother who has been a mother to me also." Simon who had the humiliation of carrying this bloody cross was transformed in that moment in the days to come. And he went back and he told his sons, Alexander and Rufus, and he told his wife what had happened. And they were so transformed, they became evangelists and teachers, encouraging everybody to put their faith in Jesus Christ. Consider the Roman centurion standing guard at the cross. Jesus' executioners were schooled in torture. They maimed and killed so many people in terrible ways that they had become callous to those they killed. And while dying men screamed and suffered, the soldiers played games and laughed. Not long after Jesus was nailed to the cross, and the soldiers lifted it up and dropped it in the hole which would hold it upright, Jesus spoke these words, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Jesus spoke these words of forgiveness loud enough to catch at least the ears of one of the soldiers, a centurion. As Leith Anderson says, it was enough to shock the toughest veteran. It was enough to make a man think before he went to sleep that night. And after Jesus died, the centurion in charge made his inspection of the body to make sure that he was dead. And as he looked at the man who uttered the words of forgiveness when all others were screaming and cursing him, this centurion was changed. And he humbly declared, "Surely this was a righteous man." The forgiveness of Jesus was a surprise then, but it is still surprising today, isn't it? He knows our worst sins. He knows our very worst sins so well. Yet Jesus' heart still seeks to forgive. Or consider the criminals hanging on the cross. Two criminals hung on either side, and here we have them in stark relief. One criminal hanging on the cross joined the soldiers and religious leaders who jeered and mocked. He saved others, let him save himself if he is God's Messiah, the chosen one. Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and save us too. The other criminal, who must have also known something about this Jesus, said, "Don't you fear God, since you are under the same sentence? We are justly punished for our crimes. But this man has done nothing wrong." This thief, dark as his rebellious heart was, feared God and hoped that Jesus was who he had said he was for the past 3 years. Hoped this Jesus, even on the cross, would be able to save him. In his last hope at redemption, he turned to Jesus and implored him, Jesus, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Then the most heart-changing words he had ever heard fell upon his ears, warming his entire being, as Jesus said, truly, truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise. Jesus offered paradise because it was for that very reason that he was hanging on that cross that day, so that sinners like you and me, like that one on the cross, would be able to be part of his kingdom. 2,000 years later, the invitation still stands. Jesus